As Twitter continues to grab headlines, a new social media app is crashing the party, hoping to take on the big heavyweights. Somewhere Good is an audio platform designed to connect groups, and it's got some big backers in the VC world and even angel investments from the likes of Gabrielle Union. Joining us to discuss is Somewhere Good founder and CEO, Naj Austin. Naj, it's great to have you on the program. Wanted to just kind of start off this conversation with your app itself. Tell us about what exactly you hope to do with your social media app. How does it differ from what's out there? And ultimately, what do you think is the growth trajectory for your company?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. Somewhere Good is an audio platform for community conversations, and we're looking to do a lot of things differently. The biggest one is bringing people together in intimate social spaces in which they can share voice notes with one another about things that they care about. I think a big differentiator for us is creating a space where people feel like they don't have to perform. There are no likes, there are no followers, there are no algorithms sort of tracking you. We've sort of removed any temptation for bad behavior that you'll find on other platforms.
Naj, why go for audio? It's the reasons that you mentioned, is that partly why you wanted to go in that direction instead of being able to post and text?
Yeah, we wanted to add a bit more humanity back to what it means to be online. I think after the last 2 years of COVID, we've all been sort of looking for what community means to us. And so as my team was thinking about it, it just became really important that you hear a person's voice when they're sharing.
Now, this is a very relevant discussion right now with regards to, what types of voices are allowed on these platforms. And, Elon Musk addressing what he thinks of Trump's Twitter ban, at least on that platform, relevant because of his ownership now of the company. This happened at the Financial Times Future of the Car Summit yesterday. I want you to take a listen to what he said.
Sure.
Not correct to ban Donald Trump. I think that was a mistake because it alienated a large part of the country and did not ultimately result in Donald Trump not having a voice. So I guess the answer is that I would reverse the perma ban.
And, Naj, obviously this is a very important discussion within the context of, free speech on these types of apps. And, before we kind of get into it, I want to also point out that Apollo, which is the owning company of Yahoo, is also involved in the financing for this Twitter bid. But, how do you approach this as someone that's kind of creating this space? Would you like to have kind of rules around what people can say, who can be, who can't be on the platform, given the importance of being able to communicate there?
Yeah, so what I will say is that Somewhere Good has been around for exactly 3 weeks. So we are very early in a lot of aspects of what it means to be on the platform. In terms of moderation, we have a lot of thoughts. We're trying to move very slowly and intentionally around what the experience is like. I will say unequivocally that we won't allow any language that revolves around hate in all the encompassing ways of what that could mean.
Naj, I'm curious what your ambitions are. I mean, yes, you're in a very early stage right now, but when you think back to how social media started, or at least the early days of the current social media as we know it, it was about being able to bring everybody onto a platform, whether that was Facebook or Twitter, being able to connect with people that wouldn't normally be in your circle. It feels like things are moving in the opposite direction now with more and more fragmentation. Is that where your app is playing to? I mean, do you want to create a more of a safe space for people to be able to interact, or do you want to go for scale?
Definitely go for scale, but I think in scale there can be very different groups inside that space. I think fragmentation has been happening since the beginning of the internet. We just had sort of these larger conglomerates come in and sort of bring everyone to that space. I think that can still happen within Somewhere Good. And the beauty of what we've done is we've already set it up so that that becomes really easy. It's not something we're thinking about later of, okay, people are segmenting themselves versus us helping them today to do that in the best way.
And then lastly, I want to ask here just kind of about how the platform is going to onboard people. As you mentioned, you're kind of in the early stages right now. What's the marketing strategy for a company like yours? Because, at the end of the day, this is a social app, so it's about getting the social word out there. Are you kind of trying to get plugged in with certain communities and say, hey, here's a thing that's out there that you can use as a tool to kind of hang with your homies and have kickbacks, is I think the language that you guys are using. How do you kind of get plugged in?
Yeah, that is exactly correct. Over the last year, we've spent a lot of time connecting with both IRL and digital communities that were looking for more innovative spaces to share what they were talking about. And so we've started a relationship there. When we launched 3 weeks ago, we sent out an email saying, hey, we're live. Here is your code. Right now, the app is code protected, mainly because we're in beta. We have a small team of 8 people. So we're trying to be, again, very intentional about what that first experience is. But we're excited to sort of publicly launch in the coming months.
IRL, I love that. Naj Austin, Somewhere Good founder and CEO. Thanks again for stopping by the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you.